Hey, so we're looking at Walmart today. It looks like the last time we just updated their file was about a month ago, 225. At that time, they were trading at 142. I was saying to buy at 124 and possibly selling or shorting this stock at 147. As I mentioned in other videos, I'm kind of getting away from this. Of course, I'll still keep that column and enter figures there, but me personally, I probably won't be doing any shorting unless I find something really good and feel comfortable doing that. But for the most part, that's just a number at this point. So we do have their chart up here. But before I get into that, I just want to uh, share some news on this stock, what's kind of been happening with them for the past roughly month since the last time we looked at this. So currently they're at 147. And so, really, not that much change. That actually is at my sell slash short figure that I marked out previously. But we'll see how this changed once we actually get into the technical. So, some news with them is Walmart's planning on deriving more profits from their services, from their ad sales in the next 5 years. That's from the CFO. And I suppose that makes sense considering they're probably going to make more sales online, and because things are more online, they can advertise for certain products. And so that kind of makes sense that they'll start to actually make revenue from ad services, which I'm sure Amazon has that as a component too. Something else, Walmart's going to be investing nearly 1.5 billion into Mexico and Central America in 2023, so this year. I think it says how many stores. I might be wrong in that, but I thought I saw. Um, Maybe it's in another article, but I yeah, I'm not seeing how many stores, but still, they're going to be adding 1.5 billion into the Central America region and Mexico. So uh, expansion is happening with them. So potential growth in the coming years. Walmart has completely exited a major city. It's Portland, Oregon. Apparently, there was just a lot of crime there, and I guess so much that their inventory numbers were so low that they just figured it'd be easiest to shut down that center. Maybe it'll come back, but uh, for now, they decided that it's just best to do without it, so they closed out of there. Another thing is they're heavily investing $200 million into this Indian fintech company called Phone PE, which it's a digital payment company right here. And so I guess it has to do with. Um, I'm trying to think of another company that does this. Um, it's not coming to me, but I guess it's sort of like a Zelle type company, or I know Amazon had a big one. I just can't think of the name, but I guess this is Walmart's version of whatever Amazon was doing, where it's just they don't want to take all the risk on online payments. They'd rather have someone else do that. And this is a startup company where they're saying it's valued at 12 billion, and Walmart's interested in them and helping them raise $200 million. So we'll see how that turns out. Another thing is they're doing layoffs in the hundreds. I think the total. There's a more recent article where it's something like maybe 2,000 e-commerce workers, and it's at these fulfillment centers, so not actually the stores themselves, uh, but their fulfillment centers. About 2,000, at least in the past month. It might be more coming ahead. They're in some trouble apparently. Uh, there was a deli worker at one of their locations that had Crohn's disease. I'm not sure. I'm not a doctor. I don't even know what that is, but so I'm not sure of the details. I didn't want to read into exactly what caused the firing, but apparently they feel like it's unjust, and so they're in court over that. We'll see how that turns out over the coming weeks, if not months. And then they also have another lawsuit. So two lawsuits all within the past month. That's uh, kind of concerning, but we'll see how it plays out. This one similar, where it's just the overall treatment of workers. So again, we'll just kind of watch that one, see how it plays out. Based on the headline, I guess it doesn't really have to do with the hiring. It's just after they get the job, how they're treated in terms of hours. Again, I didn't want to read into the details, but it caught my attention there. And then the last one, our last article is by 2026, they plan on being 65% automated. So we'll see how much investment they'll have to do to actually get themselves up to that standard. And so clearly, the trade off with something like this is there's going to be more investment in the coming years in terms of like property and just maybe research and development. Maybe not that piece because chances are someone else is doing the machinery. They're just going to buy the machines off them. And so there'll be a higher equipment cost or property cost over the coming years. And their plan is that cost is less than having the workers, physical people like ourselves to do that. So we'll see how that trade-off comes about over the coming years. I know Amazon's been big on this, and it looks like Walmart's just following suit. But with that said, let's get back to the technicals. So again, the last time we looked at this was at the end of February, and if I zoom in a little bit, that was in this week. It looks like right in this range. So again, 142. It looks like it pulled back into uh, this blue area. We have two blue lines marked out, and that to me was like the fair value range. We didn't catch this one, but yeah, I would have been very interested in catching this on the dip here. And now we're getting close to this red line, which would be like a sell point for us. The thing with this one is, like a lot of other stocks that we have, this one's in a pretty solid uptrend. Where again, I'm just gonna try to slice this one as best I can, and give us a couple weeks in advance just to see how it kind of continues the trend. And we'll draw a second one in here, try to catch the top side. I'm going to just catch this one. And again, I'll try to make it fairly parallel as far out as I can. I can't really go as far as I want, but that seems to be fair, and it's fairly parallel also, so I'll keep it for now. We'll see how it plays out. So right now, yeah, I don't want to add this one. I don't like the price point, but let me just update the chart uh, just so we can kind of see how it plays out. I'll keep that. I'm going to unhighlight this, and I'll share this with you in a minute. So I'm just going to make a note in an uptrend for the past about 9 months. I could argue it's sideways, but overall, I think it's really. It seems like it's in the uptrend. We did Starbucks recently, and they kind of had this very similar pattern where there was higher acceleration, but then it kind of chopped sideways. But it seems to still be in that. So I'm tempted to leave a very similar note where it seems to be trading sideways for the past not 4 months. So I'll add that in there. Sideways consolidation past 4 months. And we'll kind of see how this plays out. Yeah, so the sideways piece that you can see is, it looks like once it got over 138, that higher fair value line, it seems now to just be dancing between here. It did cross our red marker at one point, and it also went below that upper blue marker at one point more recently. But overall, for the past 4 months roughly, it's just between that range of 138 and 148. and right now we're at 147. We'll see how this one continues. Ultimately, for me, I will update a buy point. I'll add a secondary buy point in here. For this one, I guess I'll add two buy points. I think it's I I think we're still within reason that it could pull back to 138. The thing is, if it pulls back to 138, you know, next week, this week, or a couple weeks later, I mean, that's a significant downturn outside of the uptrend. I mean, this one's fairly big, but I mean, you could see it bounce back the very next week. So we'll see. But if it were to come down to this point, say in May, I mean, that's pretty far unless it were to like bounce back the next week. So we'll kind of see how this plays out. But if I were to add a secondary buy point for this one, I will look at 138. That would be a place of interest for me. Um, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, just the way this one's playing out. But it could, because again, we'll see. We'll just kind of see how this one plays out, especially over the coming weeks. I want to see what happens this week, particularly. Does it cross that 147 line that we drew in? And does it stay across for maybe the next 2 weeks when we circle back on this one? I'll definitely be interested. Um, but otherwise, yeah, that's if I were to pick a second buy point, like for this one, honestly, if it pulled back to like 142, I know that's not like a crazy difference, but I'll just throw it in there just so I have that price point in mind. But outside of that, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll be curious to see how this plays out over the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 2 months. I want to see what happens. Is it going to break out of this uptrend, um, or is it going to kind of just start trading sideways? So I'm very curious to see what happens there. But uh, that's pretty much the summary. So we have Walmart updated here. I'll change the date for us. Is this going to be good? Yep. So Walmart currently at 147. Buy points at 124, 138, and 142. I think at this point 138 is kind of like the reasonable spot. 124 is kind of getting too low. I don't think that's really in the realm of possibility anytime soon. 142 is if if I really believe in this one, like short term and long term, which I kind of do, at least long term, but short term I think we'll be able to find another spot better than 142. So we'll just see how this plays out over time, but those are the price points that I marked for now. And then 147, that sell point, if anything, I could possibly relabel that column as like a resistance point is at 147. So we'll keep that in mind, and maybe in a future video you'll see that updated to a resistance point. But otherwise, it's in an uptrend, but it's been sideways consolidating for the past 4 months. Um, but yeah, that pretty much wraps this up. If you have any opinions on this or just want to share your thoughts on where you would want to buy this one, sell this one, or uh, really any of the news topics that we covered, let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to read those. But outside that, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.